The first day of padded practice is in the books, and we're going to tell you all about what we saw with the big uglies smashing helmets next on the PHLY Eagles podcast with Bo and Zach. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast on a Tuesday. Hi to Bo Wulf, Zach Berman, here to talk about the first day of pads. Zach, football is finally back. We got to see what these guys look like with the pads on. Big day for the defensive line, big day for the running game. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Do you feel it?
How did you celebrate this morning?
Same way I do every morning, making breakfast for the family.
Very nice.
How about you?
I
hit somebody in the head?
I went to the gym.
Wow,
So,
flex.
well, I don't know if that's a flex, but
It's a literal flex.
A literal flex. I did not make breakfast. Emily made breakfast. I did not.
That's
eat
because that's a
breakfast.
woman's place, right?
No, not at all. It's because I was out from 7 to 8, so that's why.
Okay.
Yes, but no, I was excited. I woke up ready. I didn't put pads on, but I knew this was an important day. I knew this was an important show.
Every day is an important show, Zach.
You are correct.
So there you go.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm curious who that person was, that photo you put up, okay, which was the thumbnail.
Mhm.
Great shot at the offensive line.
Debatable.
And there's one
It's
guy.
a shot of the offensive line.
There's a guy just standing there, white
Yeah.
shirt, backside to us.
Mhm.
Curious if he knew he was going to
I don't know.
be
Why don't you go report it out?
in
Figure
the
out
front
who it was.
of the PHLY Eagles show. Yes.
Mm.
There were some dignitaries there today. Aaron Boone was present. Jameer Nelson was present.
Fletcher Cox.
Fletcher Cox was present, PHLY's friend, Fletcher Cox. So you knew this was a big day.
Yes. Now, as your gumshoe reporting goes, do we have an update? Have you found out which Amada Jeffrey Lurie likes?
I know I did not pursue that yet.
Oh, jeez. I thought you were a good reporter.
What's the matter?
It has been a terrible start to the show. You know what? We've been very excited about the first day of padded practice.
Yes.
And we are like stuck in neutral here.
I'm not. I'm ready to roll. Let's go. Look at all these notes here. Boom. Boom. Both sides. I'm
All right,
ready
why
to
don't
go.
you give us one note at random?
One note
This one
at
right here.
random.
What's this?
And gotta catch, no separation. Okay. Yeah. These were one-on-ones. Slay PBU.
Oh, okay.
Ross across middle.
Oh,
Spoke
nice.
to-
Ross across.
Spoke to him afterwards. Covey beats
I mean, it's going to be very important. What?
AJ one hand, Mitchell tight.
Okay.
Mitchell was tight in coverage.
I saw that play from the other field.
Yeah. So I have comprehensive notes here. If you can read my handwriting. 87 drop on one of the plays. That's CJ Uzama. Hurts to
That's a big
AJ
play.
past Ringo. Yeah, so we have a lot to discuss. I don't want to give away all the secrets here.
I feel like that was it. That's all the practice.
No, that's a random
All
sample.
right, so let's reset here, Zach. The Eagles were in pads for the first time today, and that meant that we saw a few things that we haven't seen emphasized as much. A little bit more running game today. We saw offensive line, defensive line one-on-ones for the first time. They split fields where that stuff was going on. You were watching the wide receiver, cornerback one-on-ones. There was also red zone focus heavy when they were going through team drills. A lot of the depth chart stuff continued to rotate. Landon Dickerson leaves with what looked like a toe or a foot injury, did not return. So the offensive line continues to be a little bit patchwork. But let's do this. On the count of three, you tell me who the one player that like made the who you will think about from today's practice was. Who was the player of the day for
and
practice?
it doesn't need to be from offense for me, right? Even though I was focused on the offense.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
1, 2, 3.
Jalen
Thomas
Carter.
Booker.
Okay. By the way, I think this is an interesting snapshot into Bo and to me.
Yes.
Like I'm going for the box office appeal. You're going for the minutia.
Yeah, because what true insight are you getting from Jalen Carter is good?
Well, we don't need to have a philosophical conversation on this, but I would say you're the eyes and ears of the people who are not present.
Exactly.
People want to know how the stars look. People don't go to the movies for the supporting act or for the extras. They go to the movies for the stars. They want to know if you see Oppenheimer.
This is your worst take.
If you see Oppenheimer, you want to know how Murphy performed in it, right?
Yes, of course. That's the number one thing that people want to see out of Oppenheimer is, hey, how did Murphy perform?
Or if you see Barbie, you want to know how Margot Robbie performed. You know, I don't know who an extra in Barbie was, but and no disrespect to Thomas Booker, real good player at the Gilman School, I believe, in Baltimore. Went to Stanford, was drafted by the Houston Texans. Like his game, but yeah, when I think of this practice, I won't think of Thomas Booker. I'll think of Jalen Carter, and the reason I'll think of Jalen Carter to the audience is because he was penetrating the line of scrimmage. He makes wow plays every day, but I thought he was in Jalen Hurts' face a few times there. There were plays when Jalen either had to tuck it away or when it was busted because Jalen Carter was getting interior pressure.
Yeah, I actually thought Milton Williams had a bigger day than Jalen Carter. I think some of that was maybe attention paid to Jalen Carter, but I think it's true that Jalen Carter looked good. No doubt that the defensive line won the matchups today for the most part with both the ones and the twos. Jalen Hurts and Kenny Pickett had a... What are you smiling at?
I want to stay on track here, but I'm just curious. So you bring up that exercise and you say Thomas Booker. And so there is a world here where we go down that Thomas Booker rabbit hole and we spend the first 15 minutes of the show talking about a player who might not make the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I say Jalen Carter because I think that's better serving our audience.
Why? These are the sickos. We have a show every day.
Yes.
Okay? We have 5 days a week. They want to know about everybody on the roster.
Sure.
And so when Thomas Booker has a day like he had today, when he had 2 sacks in team periods, dominated in one-on-one and 2-on-2s, and we've been talking for a while about the Eagles need some defensive tackle depth. This is a player who they may not know. It's a chance to introduce them to somebody. They know Jalen Carter. Well, that's what this show is about. And I do think that there is a big philosophical difference between you and I here. Okay, what's the widest mass appeal thing I can say?
Yes.
With no artistic skill or interesting thing at all. Great. How about we give the people something they can't get anywhere else?
I hate to say this. I think we're doing 2 different shows.
Okay. Should we do them at the exact same time and talk separately?
No, let's focus on the defensive line and that like Claire says, we can talk about them both. So let's discuss Jalen Carter and Thomas Booker because we're a show that discusses everyone from Carter to Booker. Okay.
Go ahead.
So it was a heavy red zone day today, and I bring this up because the space is more confined in the red zone, obviously. The defense should play well, in theory, on red zone days. You can be tighter in coverage. There's less space behind you.
I think
right?
if you historically speaking, the first day of pads should be a day that the defense wins.
But what stood out to me, because I thought the offense was especially efficient in the first few days, and a phrase that I had uttered on the show and elsewhere is that the ball's not touching the ground. The ball was on the ground more today. There were times, even in 7-on-7, when Jalen, and obviously there's no pass rush in 7-on-7, but Jalen Hurts had to tuck it away. And then in the 11-on-11 drills, I thought there were times when either Jalen was under duress or he had nowhere to go with the ball. So it stood out to me today that, man, the defense won the day. Now, people can have a different interpretation of winning the day, and they didn't force any turnovers. And in my notes, they haven't actually had an interception yet this camp. Which is interesting. I remember last year there were quite a few interceptions.
Christian Ellis mostly responsible.
Reed Blankenship, yeah. But I thought, paying attention to the ones, and I received a very thoughtful email before the show, before practice, from a devoted listener, a longtime listener. His name Peter, who he gave constructive criticism that we spent a lot of time talking about the different how Mekhi Becton worked his way up the depth chart and how this is a possibility that Becton could start. but we didn't give enough analysis on how Becton played, right? And so I thought I would. I thought it was a fair observation. When all men count with you, but not too much. Peter's opinion counts with me.
But apparently Thomas Booker doesn't count. Although when it comes to the roster, only the top 5 guys count.
Okay, so I bring that up because I was especially paying attention to the line of scrimmage.
Well, that's a fine. It's a fine bit of constructive criticism, but it's coming from a place of not understanding that they weren't wearing pads yesterday.
Okay,
so
so let me ask you this. We'll get to Thomas Booker, and I'm not hijacking the show here. I just have a question here.
Don't worry. This show is already ruined.
The show is not ruined. Jalen Carter had a good day. It was a patchwork, and Milton Williams had a good day. It was a patchwork offensive line. It was patchwork because, like you mentioned, Landon Dickerson left practice in one-on-one drills. He came back, but he watched from the sideline. Trevor Keegan was at right guard. Trevor Keegan was at left guard. Mekhi Becton was at right guard.
Yes.
There was a
Fred Johnson was spending a lot of time at right tackle.
Exactly. With Lane Johnson was like in and out. I don't know if it was injury related or it was just.
So you've got the number 1 defensive line going up against an offensive line featuring 2 of its projected 5 starters.
So what were your observations of the offensive line against that defensive line that we're talking about?
Yeah, I did not think that they did a great job. The defensive line won those matchups for the most part. There was one touchdown drive at the end of practice with the ones against the ones, the second to last drive where Cam Jurgens sort of helped open up a nice big hole for a big quarterback draw for Jalen Hurts that got them down to like the 6-yard line, and then Saquon runs it in from there. Cam Jurgens was very expressive after that. He did the same thing earlier in practice when he and Mekhi Becton had a really nice double team. So there were some flashes from the offensive line, and there were some play, and we can get to the real specifics of one-on-ones. I actually thought Mekhi Becton did not look particularly great in one-on-ones at guard. It's going to be a work in progress. We talked about that. There's no guarantees here with Mekhi Becton. He's a player who has been up and down for his career to begin with, and this is a new position for him. But, I think on the day, the offensive line against the defensive line, lost more often than not.
And then when Thomas Booker was in the game, listen,
it's also the offensive line depth has turned over completely for this team, right? Jack Driscoll's not here. Sua Opeta is not here. Like Fred Johnson's still here, but it's why we knew that they needed to draft offensive linemen in the middle and late rounds this year when they had Trevor Keegan and Dylan McMahon. They signed Matt Hennessy. All of these guys are new. I actually think Hennessy has played pretty well. Ya boy, Darian Kennard had one of the worst sessions of one-on-ones I've ever seen anybody have. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Like to the point where you just felt bad for the
against
guy.
Thomas Booker?
No.
Oh, okay.
He was playing left tackle. It was actually Terrell Lewis who got him twice, and then Patrick Johnson who got him once.
T-Lou.
Like some of the easiest wins it was really tough to watch. Where was I?
You were talking about Darian Kennard's one-on-one.
So the defensive line. So that's to the point of when Landon Dickerson's not out there and Tyler Steen's not out there and Lane Johnson's not practicing fully, then all of a sudden the offensive line depth is put to the test, and right now the defensive line depth looks better than the offensive line depth.
Speaking of the defensive line depth, you said you'll think of Thomas Booker from this practice. I ask this honestly because he is someone who, I don't want to say has draft pedigree, but he's not like an undrafted guy.
2022 fifth-round pick of the Houston Texans, spent all of last season on the Eagles practice squad.
Was a productive player at Stanford. Do you think Thomas Booker is a guy who could push for one of these defensive line spots?
I think he's got a chance now, yeah.
And what stood out about the way he played?
The production. He was all over the place. He had 2 sacks in team drills, looked very good in the one-on-ones. He's a bit of an undersized defensive tackle. He's listed at 6'3", 300. I do not think that he is 6'3". He's a little bit squatty for a defensive tackle. I like that body type. But he's been productive. And so, you've got your top 3 defensive tackles. I think Marlon Tuipulotu is probably safe-ish to be on the team. Same for Moro Ojimo. But if they're going to be playing a lot of odd fronts, you'd need a 6th guy probably. PJ Mustipher, I thought, actually had a pretty good day today as well. Gabe Hall is a player who we've had an eye on as an undrafted rookie who has a chance. He has not exactly flashed of yet. So Thomas Booker, it's a third-year player. I don't think I would still say there's a much better chance that he doesn't make the team. But if he plays like he did today throughout the rest of the summer, then he's going to be on the team.
As I was walking into practice, I saw someone with a jersey on, and it was a Thomas Booker jersey. family of Thomas Booker. I
Could have
imagine.
been a Lorenzo Booker jersey.
No, it was Booker the fourth, 59.
Okay, nice.
It's the fourth, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, 59. Came up from I guess ALLCITY, Maryland, to watch Thomas Booker have the day when we think about this practice a decade from now.
Well,
we'll remember it's the Thomas Booker practice.
But seriously though,
Yeah.
You put on the pads.
Yes.
Like this is a chance to see
Sure.
football. Thomas Booker was in the building all year last year. We
Yeah.
never got to see him play.
That's true.
I know what Jalen Carter looks like.
Okay.
I have my own expectations for Jalen Carter that are not going to be changed by what he does in one day
Sure.
of practice. What is most interesting about training camp to me is the ancillary guys
Okay.
who are trying to make a living and make a roster and do something that nobody expected. Like talking to Jalix Hunt after practice today, and he's saying how like he didn't come right to media because he wanted to take a minute to just for himself appreciate the fact that this was his first practice
That's
in
awesome.
pads.
I love that.
Well, it's not Jalen Hurts. Like that's what sells. That's what we should put on the thumbnail.
Those are two different conversations.
This is the beauty of training camp.
Yeah, I love that sentiment from Jalix Hunt. I agree with what you're saying. I also think if you're doing a show for a wide audience who is not at practice, I would imagine more people want to know how Jalen Carter looks. They want to know about the Quinyon Mitchell, A.J. Brown reps. They want to know that the way Jalen Hurts plays. Is that like I always think back to my first week as like a full-time beat writer. I was covering Virginia Tech, and they had a quarterback competition, Sean Glennon versus Tyrod Taylor. And I was writing about it like all summer. I kept writing about it. And I called my editor. I'm like, there's so many good stories on this team. Can I write something else? And they're like, write the quarterback. Because that's what people want to read, right? And so I don't mean to make it simplistic, but yeah, I do think that
That's what one person told you one time.
Yeah, but like I said, this is nothing against. I enjoy getting to know the Thomas Bookers. I enjoy writing those stories. I'm someone, I'm proud of those stories that I write. I do think a broad audience wants to know about the best players, about the marquee guys. They want to know that Quinyon Mitchell and A.J. Brown were having these great reps.
We got an hour. We're going to get to all of that.
Yeah, so that was, I mean, I think you like look down at the fact that I said Jalen Carter, but I think that's what I'll remember.
No, I don't look down on the fact that you said Jalen Carter. I look down on the fact that you look down on me saying Thomas Booker.
I literally, okay. I'm just going to proceed. I don't. I think that's interesting because we have discussed who these depth defensive linemen are. We've talked about the fact that the Eagles could add potentially a veteran, but Howie Roseman said, like the answer Howie Roseman said he wants to see the young guys playing was specifically about defensive line depth. So they drafted Moro Ojimo in the 7th round, but Thomas Booker was a 5th round pick the year before. The Eagles might have had a 5th round grade on him the year before, right? So we'll see guys like that. I mean, it's not the same as Marlon Tuipulotu, who is a defensive tackle, but I think Ojimo is going to be on the team, but outside of like the top 3 and then Ojimo, I don't think anyone's locked down roster spots at defensive tackle. So Thomas Booker could very well be someone who makes the team.
Okay, let's go to our respective corners. Take a nice.
We have the pads on today too, huh?
A little break.
Yes.
I think that's appropriate.
Yes.
When the Eagles finally get to hit, so do we. So let's take a little pause and talk about our friends at Bet365, our newest partners here at PHLY. Bet365, where they are never ordinary. Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide. Bet365 live streams 780,000 events each year, and they have early payout offers across the NBA, NFL, NHL, and MLB. Bet365 pioneered live in-game betting, and today, Bet365 offers the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 sports. If you want to join Bet365, you can open an account, and they're going to give you a little something back just to make it worth your while. At Bet365, they don't do ordinary. They believe every sport should be epic. So right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Use the code PHLY365 to sign up, deposit $10, and claim your offer. They also have some good boost offers always at Bet365. Over 10,000 boosts every month. They boost specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays. So keep an eye out for the custom PHLY bets and boosts. They've also got great same-game parlays. The SGP Plus allows you to combine the most popular markets from selected events across different sports into one big price parlay. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up and check out our boosts to see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. There we go.
I might be a bit irritable today. I hope not, but if I am, it's because I'm hungry. And the reason I'm hungry is because I left my lunch in the refrigerator today. So
Oof,
I should
what was
have.
it?
It was rotisserie chicken in a salad. I
Nice.
chopped up the rotisserie chicken and put it in a salad. Yeah,
Just greens, or you got some other veggies in there?
Some
What's
other
in the
veggies
salad?
in there. Yeah.
Okay. Some green peppers, mushrooms, corn. What are we talking?
Okay. Got carrots, the things of that nature.
Carrots, nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Dressing?
yeah, yes. But let me tell you why I brought that up. What I should have done on the way to the studio is I should have stopped at Rite Aid, and I should have stopped at Rite Aid and went to the LO Market because they have this.
Hello, Market.
They have this line LO Market which includes candy, snacks, and pantry items. It's exclusively at Rite Aid, and their products, like I said, candy from classics like peach rings and Starlight Mints, the gummy butterflies and sour worms. I probably would not have gotten that, but I would have gotten the nuts and trail mixes packed with vitamins, minerals, healthy fats, fiber, and protein. If I was watching a movie, I would get the popcorn, which is buttery, sweet, and salty, cheddar, and sea salt. Or you can get beef jerky, which is packed with protein, which is important to have. If I wanted to have breakfast this morning, I could have picked up the granola featuring whole grains. And then if I just want to kind of keep certain things on my desk at the facility, there's pantry staples like honey and seasonings. Snack Attack. Get LO Market delivered same day or buy online. So I could have had it delivered to the facility, pick up in the store, go to riteaid.com/shop to order.
All right, Zach, let me talk about something on defense. I
Yes.
think if we wanted to move away from the specific guys who have flashed, and you're talking about what the defense might look like, in the beginning of the season,
Yeah.
I think the most interesting development of the first week of camp so far has been the amount of time that Quinyon Mitchell is spending inside.
Good point.
And working there today with the first team defense. Now, Avonte Maddox rotated in as well, was spending a little bit more time at safety today than he has in the past couple practices. But I think as we try to figure out what the picture is going to look like on defense, now Cooper DeJean still out, so we'll see how he factors in. But Quinyon Mitchell maybe being like a week one starting nickel, I think is very interesting.
Well said. I agree with you there. I think it's noteworthy that we're now, tomorrow's a week in the camp, right? 5 practice sessions we've seen. And it's been Isaiah Rodgers, Keely Ringo, Isaiah Rodgers, opposite Darius Slay.
Tilted a little bit more towards Ringo.
Yes. Yeah. I would say a lot more.
Yeah, I'd say like about 70-30,
Exactly.
75-25. And then there are a few times where Slay is out and the two of them are on the field together.
So
but yes.
I was wrong about this. I thought going into camp, Mitchell would be rotating in, and you would get to a point like the second week or so where Mitchell would be the guy on the outside. The fact that Mitchell is taking more and more snaps inside.
Great comment from Christopher W. So he says he remembers the one time I said that Ali Fayed flashed in camp. Yeah, he did. He had a good day. What can I say?
All right, thanks for that contribution to the conversation. So the fact that Quinyon Mitchell has been taking more and more snaps in the slot, and that's that's clear. He was mixing in a bit early on. Now he's with the first team, like you mentioned, and taking quite a bit. Most of his snaps today were in the slot.
Yes, I would say so.
Yeah, especially in team drills. Like in one-on-ones, he was facing the outside guy. So what stands out to me there is, they are, I think, looking at Ringo and or Rodgers starting opposite of Darius Slay and Quinyon Mitchell as a likely or potential option day one in the slot. Cooper DeJean, we don't know when he's going to be back. They said 3 weeks. Sometimes when they say 3 weeks, it could end up being 4 or 5, right? Regardless, he might not get much time here in training. By the time he gets back, you might be looking at your 3rd preseason game. So they need to start thinking, all right, who makes sense here in this slot? We spoke on yesterday's show. Quinyon Mitchell played in the slot in college, played inside, outside.
He said today he talked after practice today. Said he spent almost no time inside in college. He said he's barely ever played slot before. That's what he said today.
Am I wrong about this?
I don't think he spent significant time inside in college. He said today he has very little experience inside. The biggest adjustment is finding out where your help is. It was also interesting that he said this was not something that was like floated to him before the summer.
Okay.
Like, maybe spend some time practicing this on your own. This was like he just showed up to practice one day and the coaches were like, "Yep, you're inside today." And he's just taken it and run with it so far. I think he's looked pretty good in that capacity, but this is new for him.
Yeah. So here I have here he has not taken a lot of snaps in the slot. He did play there, but not that often. He took in the slot 52 snaps in the slot throughout his time at Toledo, so not many.
And I would even bet that those were probably like he's shadowing a specific guy who happens to be inside.
Who happens to be inside.
But yeah, he said it's been an adjustment, and he was a little bit surprised by it. But he's taken the opportunity.
How do you think he's looked in there?
I think he's looked pretty good so far. Yeah, he's in both a nickel and dime, and then I was not watching the one-on-ones, but it sounded like he had some good back and forths with AJ Brown.
Yeah. So he went up against AJ. The first one, I thought, frankly, the ball was underthrown. I thought AJ beat him. The ball was underthrown, but it's red zone, so maybe the ball was put kind of where it was supposed to be. And AJ kind of had to come back for it a bit. Quinyon was in tight coverage, and then Quinyon like stared him down afterwards, right? Okay. And this goes back to spring when Quinyon Mitchell,
right?
He like doesn't talk when he talked trash to it.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that
like,
did
what?
have. Yeah. I mean, I'm not imagining that he did say that. Yeah, that was making fun of myself for the slot thing. Okay. And then the second one, he had real tight coverage. A.J. Brown made a one-handed catch, corner of the end zone, was ruled out of bounds.
Yeah, I saw this just out of the corner of my eye, and it was like an amazing catch from A.J. Brown, one-handed right in the corner, but yeah, he only got 1 foot down.
Yeah. So you look at that and you say that...
and just contextually, I mean, even though it was the red zone, one-on-ones between wide receiver and DB is the wide receivers should win 85% of the time.
Now, red zone might be a little
bit different, but yeah.
Quinyon Mitchell, I think that obviously we talked about long-term Slay's replacement. I said that on yesterday's show. But short-term in Brazil could be in the slot there.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. What else? You were particularly focused on the offense today. Give me your big takeaways.
I'm still kind of regrouping from the Quinyon slot.
All right, why don't we read the super chat in the meantime? You can take some time. Dean says it's clear this argument can be settled in only one way: trial by combat. You each pick one champion from the team to represent you. Who do you pick?
And so what's this? So trial by combat is just like fighting to the death?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll let you take first pick. Who do you want?
I mean, I feel like I shouldn't answer this.
Why? Okay. Did I walk myself into something?
No, it's nothing you said. It's just I don't think I should go down that rabbit hole.
Okay. All right. Well, then I will proceed with your initial question.
I'll take Britton Covey. I don't care.
Okay. Britton Covey's a smart guy. What stood out about the offense today? Well, first off, that they weren't as efficient as they've been. That's what stood out to me. There were more incompletions. There was, like I said, plays in 7-on-7 where Jalen had to tuck it away. But I can go macro and I can go micro. I can do the big names. I can do the small names. Saquon, Barkley, you want to see kind of the running backs on pads days a little more. They're obviously not bringing them down to the ground. They're not dragging them to the ground. But you got to see him burst through the hole there. And then you also kind of, and maybe this would be anyone in the offense, but there was a draw play by Jalen Hurts that I was really impressed that they put Saquon in motion behind Hurts. So then Devin White, the linebacker covering Saquon, has to follow him. That clears the space. Jalen takes the snap and runs the draw, and there's no one in the middle of the field until the safeties because of the way they flex Saquon out. I know they've dressed up the quarterback draw in the past, so that's not like just Kellen Moore doing that. But I think that's an example of how pre-snap motion can change the geometry of the offense, and you can kind of manipulate space by. And I think Saquon in particular. Now I got the chance to speak to Jamal Singleton, the running backs coach after practice, and we spoke in the spring about how the Eagles are hoping Saquon kind of gives them more yards after contact. Jamal he said it's a misnomer. This is something that they need to be better at per se, because he said that you can make a guy miss. They've had running backs who make people miss, and that's so it's not yards after contact, but you're avoiding contact, right? So you're getting extra yards that way. So he said there's kind of two different ways to get to that second level. But it is true, he said, Saquon is a bigger back than what they've had. They've had DeAndre Swift, they had Miles Sanders. Saquon is bigger in that regard. You see Saquon continue to be used in the passing game. We continue to see Will Shipley being used in the passing game. I saw that a few times, although I'll say Kenny Gainwell caught a nice touchdown pass from Hurts today. So that just shows, that just shows they're throwing the ball to the backs in different ways. You made that observation on the first day. Of course, they did that last summer as well. Devontae Smith in one-on-ones, so smooth. I can say that all the time.
But not a lot of action in team drills.
Not a lot of action.
Yeah. There was one pass thrown his way.
Yeah.
It was a diving PBU from Isaiah Rodgers.
A.J. Brown
Darius Slay.
A.J. Brown caught a touchdown, was pretty demonstrative afterwards throwing it up. Did you see that one?
I did not.
Okay, yeah. So he was obviously excited about that. I thought I mentioned Cesar Uzama had a drop. They're using Grant Calcaterra quite a bit. You're seeing a lot.
He's got a buzz cut and a mustache.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like skinnier Farva from Super Troopers.
You see, that's the type of insight you can only get on the PHLY Eagles show, right? I see.
All men count, but none too much.
Calcaterra 3-yard catch. There.
I have an offense question for you.
Yes.
Kenny Pickett or Tanner McKee? Who do you like better?
Well, Tanner McKee's playing better.
And I don't even think it's close.
Yeah. Actually, I have here 7 overthrow.
Kenny Pickett can't get rid of the ball.
Yeah. I think Tanner McKee's playing better. And Tanner McKee did take some work with the twos today, but it was not at the expense of, it's not as if Pickett was with the threes. It was just they mixed. They mixed him in with the twos. I think through a week, McKee's played better. I still think
Pickett's he very clearly has a much better feel for the offense. The ball is coming out on time, and it's accurate. Mm-hmm. He's finding open guys. Kenny Pickett, the best play he made today was sort of a extemporaneous play where he was avoiding the rush and found a guy, but he doesn't seem to have mastered the offense necessarily. Now, you could argue that maybe the second team defense is ahead of the second team offense and guys aren't open as much, but EJ Jenkins looks like Travis Kelce through the first week of the season because he's always wide open and Tanner McKee's finding him. He looks like a Pro Bowl tight end.
Yeah, EJ Jenkins caught a touchdown pass on the left sideline today. Did a nice job there.
Call him Bo Wulf Jenkins.
Oh, because not stole, but because you share takes. Yeah. Okay. I'm curious what EJ's thoughts on Thomas Booker are. That one didn't get it. Oh, a little note. So look, in the spirit of MoMA and DeAndre Brown and some of the other tall receivers, one-on-one drills.
How did Johnny Wilson look?
Awesome in one-on-one
Really?
drills. Yeah.
Because he, again, has gotten no action in team drills.
Yeah, one-on-ones.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, now
because it was red zone especially. So that's
red zone. You throw it up to him, and I know there were some drops when he was in college, but not today. He had 2 touchdowns where his size was the reason he.
Who was he going up against? Do you have notes on that? Let
me see here. I need to go through one-on-ones.
What is this you've written on, by the way? It's not a notebook. It's
It's like a poster board type paper.
Why?
I don't know. This is what I chose to use today. It's a little sturdy.
Don't you usually have a notebook though?
Yeah, but I had the media guide today because I was looking up different pieces of information during practice about the guys.
And so, where did you get that poster board?
Where did I get it?
Yeah,
it was at my desk.
Okay.
It's not poster board. It's just
cardstock,
thick printing paper. Yeah. What's that? Construction paper. Thank you, Julia. Yes, construction paper.
Interesting. Just loose leaf. You're just carrying around loose leaves?
It was at my desk. I took it, and I thought it would be an effective way because I wanted to have the media guide in front of me today at practice. So that it's a thick media guide, but this is what I chose to use today.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sturdy. It's easy to write on. I didn't have who was in coverage.
And what kind of salad dressing?
Like a balsamic type
Nice.
dressing.
Yeah, okay.
Enjoy balsamic.
Yeah, what's nothing wrong with the balsamic? I think that's I would say go-to salad dressing.
What did you expect me to say?
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't expect anything. I just wanted to know.
Well,
the
no.
answer.
When you what answer did you think I would give when you asked about the salad dressing?
I didn't have it wasn't a leading
Gotcha.
question. I just wanted to know the
Okay.
answer.
Yeah, on the way home yesterday, I picked up dinner at the grill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We made shish kebabs. All right, I made shish kebabs on the grill.
Okay.
And
Pre stacked, or you put them together
no,
yourself?
they were pre-stacked. They were behind the
Okay.
at the butcher's
Okay.
window.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the different options.
Okay.
And I said, let's have shish kebabs. And I had marinated. They had regular.
Okay.
I got 2 marinated, 1 regular. We split
Nice.
that up. And then I put that on the grill. But then as I was saying, you know what? We have this like hour and 10-minute window between the time we get back from the practice field and the time we have to get to the studio.
It's tight.
I don't want to be running to like a Chick-fil-A or a Wawa. I should pack lunch. I've been going peanut butter and jelly for most of camp. But I said, I'll just get a rotisserie chicken. I'll put it in the fridge.
Okay.
Slice
Smart.
it up.
Yeah, smart.
And get a salad. Was excited about that. And then left it in the fridge.
Can I give you some constructive advice?
Yes.
You're a man who cares about saving a penny where you can.
Yeah.
When you get the pre-packaged shish kebab, real upcharge versus
Oh,
if
is
you
that
just
right? Okay.
got your own chicken and peppers and onions or whatever you wanted.
The sticks. The
sticks are very cheap if you want to.
No, I know that. Yes.
It's a little bit more effort.
Okay.
Time is money, so you have to do that calculation yourself. What is the half an hour of prep time worth to you? Is it worth the difference in price? But cost-wise, you will come out on top.
I did not anticipate.
I only say that because I know that you care about.
I did not anticipate getting the shish kebab.
Oh, sorry. Are you saying shush kebab or shish?
Shish. Is that what it is? It's shish?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got it right. Okay. I said to Emily, I'll call her when I'm at the grocery store. I was at the grocery store. I was looking at what was available, what might be marked down in price, and we were looking at a few. I gave a few options. We decided on shish kebab. It really was. I didn't. I know I could have sliced it, but
I'm just. I feel like you're gonna take that and run with it.
Sure.
It's a good one for you.
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
I'm glad we're talking about this on first day of pads. Yes.
Okay. I guess we could do ads right now. And then,
yeah.
Regroup.
We have
Why not? Let's flash up that graphic and really get to it because it's this is exciting. I'm going to tell you about sometimes we're reading and we don't know the product. Is it a new product? Something like that. Sometimes it's one. Not only do we believe in, we're customers, and I believe I'm coming home today to a package of some new Shady Rays, and I'm very excited about it because I talked about it, left my shades at a restaurant in Brazil. I'm not going to go back to Brazil. I'm not going to ask you when you go to Sao Paulo.
Yeah, I'm not
to go to Rio.
I wish I could
and
go to
check
Rio.
that restaurant to get those $25 sunglasses for me. No, I'm ordering Shady Rays, and guess what? If I lose my Shady Rays, I can get them back because they've got this great deal where there's no downside to ordering Shady Rays. You can get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last, and our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. And here's the deal I'm talking about. If your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. Shady Rays has the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, you can exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There is no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support, the best support in the sunglasses industry. So, exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people, and you can do it knowing that I used that exact same promo code when I ordered my Shady Rays.
I signed up for a premium product online recently, and it was a 30-day trial, and I put in my Google Calendar to make sure I canceled on the 29th day. But if I did not do that, and then I saw it on my credit card statement, and I was real frustrated about it, I know there's a place that I can turn that would have my back, and that's Rocket Money, okay? Because do you have subscriptions that you forget about, where you paid twice for it and you did not realize it? Did Rocket Money? Rocket Money can cancel the subscription for you. And it's an otherwise time-consuming task. You can reallocate that time to cutting up the chicken and the vegetables for your next shish kebab. How much do you think you're paying in subscriptions every month? The answer? Probably more than you think. Over 74% of people have subscriptions they've forgotten about. I definitely do, like certain Substacks that I subscribe to and things of that nature. You're getting ready for a fantasy football or fantasy baseball or fantasy, and you subscribe to the Substack, and you're like, all right, I'll get out of this in a month.
Sure,
and then,
the OnlyFans, yeah.
What? Thanks to Rocket Money, I'm no longer wasting money on the ones that I forget about. Most Americans think they spend about $62 per month on subscriptions, but get this, the real number is closer to $300. That is literally thousands of dollars a year, half of which we've probably forgotten about. Thankfully, I started using Rocket Money, and they found a bunch of subscriptions I'd forgotten about and then helped me cancel the ones I did not anymore. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/PHLY. That's rocketmoney.com/PHLY, rocketmoney.com/PHLY.
Okay, now let's talk schedule for a minute here.
Okay.
We're live every day at 2. Tomorrow, the Eagles have a walkthrough. Are they off or just a walkthrough?
No, walkthrough tomorrow.
Walkthrough tomorrow, so we don't get to see anything. Thursday night, they have a practice at the link, and then Friday, they're off as well. So this is our last, good practice for some time for us to talk about until Monday, because Thursday night's practice, I'm guessing, is going to be pretty tepid, which is disappointing for the fans in attendance. I do. There's a soccer game there on Wednesday night, so I don't know if they're going to trust the field necessarily.
That's a fair point.
So I think it's going to be
tough scheduling for the Eagles.
Yeah, it's going to be.
They couldn't do this on like Sunday night
disappointing.
or something?
Yes, I think that's tough.
Yeah. Is there a concert this weekend?
There's like a 2-night run, I believe. Zach Bryan, is that right?
I defer to you on all matters of music.
There is a concert this weekend.
Okay.
So I think the next 3 shows will give us a little bit of a chance to take a step back, some big picture thoughts. I was thinking maybe talk about some guys who we would like to see some more from, some things that are big takeaways. But
like Thomas Booker rising on the depth chart.
Yeah. I mean the bookman, the bookmaker,
or you just call him Booker. Yeah.
And call him Thomas.
Or we can call him Thomas.
Call him T-Book.
Or TB4.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could be the best TB in the history of the NFL.
Well, I don't know about that. But by the way, before you finish, I thought you mentioned Zach Bryan. ZB today, Zach Bond got into it a bit with Fred Johnson.
Yeah, that was interesting.
So I just didn't want that. We can circle back to that. I just want to tease that.
No, tell us what happened.
Yeah, okay. So there was a play then. The play was over.
Low red
basically.
zone, yeah.
Yeah, Fred Johnson pushed Zach Bond at the end of the play to the ground. Zach Bond got up, did not like it, went and sought out Fred Johnson.
Sort of pushed him on the shoulder pad.
Yeah, and then I think he looked at Fred Johnson and said, I'm just going to retreat back to my side. I will say I had a nice conversation with a member of Fred Johnson's family before the game.
Oh, before the practice?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, before
Okay.
the practice. Yeah,
That's nice.
yeah. She wanted to know where the family members can stand.
Okay.
I asked her whose family she's a part of. She told me Fred Johnson. I said, "Oh, I always enjoy talking to Fred."
Was she a direct relative of Fred or removed? Like, was this like a mother or mother-in-law, whatever?
Yeah, like a mother-in-law type.
In-law.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was curious if it was the direct family, if she was also very tall.
Oh no, she was
Okay,
not
removed.
very. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But she was very nice, and we spoke about Fred Johnson and his contract. And yeah, nice guy.
Get some scoops?
Or, nice woman. No. I said he's a good player. They gave him a contract last year. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyways, so
Think she would have been ready to run in if that turned into a real fight with Saquon?
I mean, I don't think Fred Johnson needed backup on that one.
Mm.
I would take Fred Johnson. Although, well, there was something. The Eagles do those things off the field, and there was something with Fred Johnson about like he didn't get a lot of sleep one of the days, and then I'm like, doesn't he sleep in meetings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Notoriously.
Notorious, yeah. So, anyways, proceed with the
So
schedule.
let's talk Saquon for a second.
Okay.
The linebackers. They continue to just sort of mix and match the pairings. So with the first team defense, one period you'll see Devin White and Zach Bond. Next period you'll see Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean. Sometimes it'll be, with the twos, Devin White is working with Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Nakobe Dean spends a lot of time next to Ben Van Sumer, and they continue to sort of mix and match that group. But my stated skepticism of Zach Bond being a starting linebacker for this team aside, and like how that will go, I think that he has looked pretty good. He does seem to have, so far, the instincts to what?
I saw. No, I want you to finish, and then I'll say it.
Okay. He does seem to have, so far, the instincts to see what's going on. He and Nolan Smith, I believe, made a nice play today, sniffing out like a play-action pass that would have led to a sack of Jalen Hurts. But what I actually think is also notable was Zach Bond, who is, in theory, this flexible guy who can also spend some time on the edge. He has, and we've seen so much moving around on defense, he hasn't spent any time on the outside. Didn't take any reps in one-on-one pass rush drills today when would have been an opportunity for him to be like, okay, for Vic Fangio to be like, okay, we don't necessarily, need you at inside linebacker right now. Get 1 or 2 reps running, just getting some pass rush work. Hasn't done that at all. And so it does seem like they are all in right now. Vic Fangio is at least on trying to make Zach Bond an inside linebacker the thing.
What do you know? I asked him about this yesterday.
Okay.
And he said, I just play linebacker, and I can do a lot of different things. I can pass rush. I can play inside backer. I can cover. I'm here to contribute to the team however they see fit. I had no expectation. I wrote exception. My bad. Expectation coming here. They said there's an opportunity, and I said, let's go. That was with me asking about like what expectation he had when he signed here. He said, but he said, I feel like I needed to see something different, something new, something fresh, and different opportunities. I asked him roughly what, like, how are your snaps allocated with the Saints in these last 4 years between edge and off ball? And he said he couldn't tell me. He did both. But he is very much. And I know we can only read so much into it because they are rotating. But every day this summer, he's been with the first group up. Mm. Now, they've rotated thereafter, but he's been with the first group up. I don't think that is coincidence. Although I thought Nakobe played well today. Nakobe had like the one tackle of the day.
Yeah, and I actually do have to say, I was talking about this with Dave Zangaro. Like, didn't look like that was the kind of tackle that would have been a tackle if it was live. Although it was Will Shipley. It was in the hole. It was like a one-handed.
Oh, it's Shipley? Okay.
It was like a one-handed in the hole. He brought him down. And maybe because it was Shipley, it would have been a real tackle in the game, but it also looked like a one-handed grab. I don't know that. I think a running back should be able to run through that.
Shipley taking a stray. You don't think Shipley runs hard?
I just don't think he's a big guy.
Jamal Singleton went to, he said that they really like Shipley as a player, did a private workout on him, but like to a man, you should hear what they said about this guy in the Clemson building. Like every single person you talk to raved about this guy.
Okay.
So just something to store away.
Why?
Really, he sounds like the kind of guy you want to have in your locker room.
What is the smile that you have right now?
I don't
because of the Shipley conversation we've had? Is that where that's coming from?
You're very anti-Shipley.
I'm not anti-Shipley. I'm anti saying that he should be lumped into a bucket with LaShawn McCoy and Miles Sanders.
Oh no, I'm not lumping him into that bucket at all. But the thing I was laughing at is there was a comment Joey put on the screen when as you were talking, where someone said they just found the show 3 months ago. They're like, yeah, it's God. I love the show. Can't believe I only heard of it 3 months ago. And I so appreciate that sentiment. I'm fascinated by what's going on through his or her head.
The one person who's new, yeah.
No. We've really grown the audience. It's not one person. And we've really worked to grow the audience by doing things like talking about Jalen Carter at the top of the show, right? But that's I think when sometimes the interpersonal dynamics, if people don't know the context and the long-standing relationship, they might be like, what is going on here? So I appreciate the sentiment.
Yeah, it isn't also that is a funny time to have started, like right in the doldrums of the offseason.
Like,
all he's getting is horny Zach. There's no
that's not true
no
at
football
all.
talk.
That's not true at all. First off, if you look at free agency and the draft, I thought our coverage was outstanding.
Yeah, but that wasn't 3 months, was it?
Well,
I guess
April. Yeah, so
yeah, I guess it was the
right
very end of the
before
draft. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that's a good time to jump in. Yeah,
yeah, I thought our draft coverage was incredible.
Thanks to you.
Well, thanks to us,
No, that was you. You killed the draft.
No, we're a group. We are great. Everything we do is as a team. It includes Julia. It includes everyone.
One-on-ones. What a treat. What a delight.
Oh yeah. Tell me what. So bring me to the where are you standing? Who are you standing with? You have to be with like Sheil or Fran, like real,
No,
people
I just have
whose
to
football
see. I
opinions
just have
you
to have a
respect.
little bit of a lane to see
Okay.
what's going on because sometimes, there are people in the way, so you got to find an angle.
And do you crouch?
I don't crouch.
Okay, because sometimes people like to get the low man wins. They like to
True.
crouch. Yes.
I mean, if I need to crouch, I'll crouch, but yeah, I
Okay.
try to find a place where I don't have to crouch.
Okay.
If we're going to talk about guys who have not exactly flashed through the first week of the season or the first week of
Curious
camp,
where you're going with this one.
Bryce Huff is one of
I was
those
about
guys.
to think okay.
But it does remind me that we had these same conversations about Hassan Reddick
Did we?
when he first got here. And you do have to keep in mind that Bryce Huff is very often going up against Lane Johnson.
Fair.
Right? And so he's not the only guy who, if he's got to go one-on-one against Lane Johnson, isn't going to look that great.
Fair, but I do want to point this out. So he had, 10.5 sacks last year, right? There was, the game against the Eagles, for instance, when he had what? He had 1.5 sacks. Jack Driscoll was the right tackle. I want to go.
Yeah, but there are a lot of Jack Driscolls in the league.
True.
Like, a lot of starting right tackles who are of Jack Driscoll's caliber. Like there are not a lot of Lane Johnsons.
Yeah, but when you're playing in money time in January and February, you're
Well, sure.
Hassan Reddick he had a tight end covering him, right? But against the Niners,
Yeah.
right? He was going up against was it McGlinchey at right tackle then?
Your boy.
That game? Yeah, Penn Charter's own. Like Mike.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, it's been a slow-ish first week for Bryce Huff. Super chat from Jalen all day, all sicko dio mad day says Zach.
No,
Zach,
that's okay.
Zach.
I'm so thrown off by the Quinyon Mitchell on the slot thing. For some reason, I had that in my head.
It's okay.
Yeah.
All men count, but not too much. Everybody sometimes
it doesn't
you miss.
apply
If
to
you miss
this.
it, you miss it.
It doesn't apply to this at all. Okay. keep going.
Jalen Carter made easy work of Mekhi Becton, which I think you would expect. And I was talking to Anthony on his show at the end of practice and
Flex.
Huge flex. And he made the case, I think it's a fair point, that like one-on-ones, if Mekhi Becton, if like lateral agility is not his strong suit, that he's going to look better in team drills than he does in one-on-ones, which I think is fair. But he did not look great in one-on-ones and two-on-twos.
Well, so my question about that is he seeing what Jalen Carter in one-on-ones, correct?
On this one rep, yes.
Yeah. So typically, this is a career tackle. He's used to seeing more of your Bryce Huffs.
PJ Mustapher, gave him the business.
No, what I'm saying from a body type perspective.
Yeah,
he's
true.
used to seeing these speed rushers.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's an adjustment.
Exactly.
It's not going to be a thing where it's where he's great from day one or even is great ever necessarily. I think we talked about things are set up for him to win the job, and that's still no guarantee. That's why I think that Howie kind of likes this situation, because if Mekhi Becton doesn't look good for the next week, that's fine. Then they can go back to Tyler Steen.
Fair enough. You're right. That's why this is best case scenario. I do want to point out I think it's important for our audience, whether you've been with us for 6 years, whether you've been with us for 3 months, to remember what Bo said yesterday.
The Booker family was joining us just for this episode.
To recall what Bo said yesterday about the offensive line and the way it works during a practice. Because I'm not talking about any reporters here in particular. I still think there's people who sometimes like forget the order of operation here. So Landon Dickerson goes down. Okay.
Yeah.
Trevor Keegan, who's the second team
left guard.
Yeah. He goes up to the first team. This is not like them saying like Trevor Keegan is in contention to be the first team. It's just you move on up. Trevor Keegan.
If Landon Dickerson is going to be out for a week, it will be interesting to see who they have at left guard tomorrow, because then it's more of a they're planning for what would be a contingency plan. And I actually think it would be Trevor Keegan.
Well, no, because Steen's out right now. Like in a game, I imagine it's either Steen or Becton, whichever one's not starting.
Yes.
Or Hennessy, if and perhaps they put Hennessy in.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
And then that is a possibility. And that's in my notes, is that I actually think Matt Hennessy has looked pretty good. And he's undersized, certainly compared to Mekhi Becton, but he has held his own so far.
Yeah. Wisniewski-esque.
Sure. I think that's fair. My guy, Aneem Dankwa, I've seen some flashes from him, but it's a work in progress. He gets pushed around a little bit. Jalen Hunt in particular overpowers him. I think that Jalen Hunt looks really good so far.
Interesting.
He's
fun guy too.
He's raw,
right?
Very nice guy, easy guy to root for.
Saw him in the Raiders line. Yeah,
that's nice. Can I give you if I am not held to this take and just can throw it out there as a thing that I'm thinking right now? Jalen Hunt more career sacks than Nolan Smith.
I mean, based on Nolan Smith's rookie year, I think Nolan Smith looked solid this summer, looked good this summer. But that's an interesting one. Is Jalen Hunt eligible for the Camp Crush or third round pick?
Probably not.
Yeah, a little too high.
I think probably not.
Now, if he was like the 6th round pick or 5th round pick, definitely. You have this guy from Houston Baptist, right? But yeah, probably too. The 3rd round pick can't be the Camp Crush.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't me doing it.
He's a very likable.
This isn't like
for you. It's let me tell you this. This Quinion Mitchell is looking good.
Yeah. I mean, hey, right to quarterback, right? So.
Just going through here, Dylan McMahon looks okay. Held his own on these drills, which are very tough for the centers against the big guys. We remember that viral one from the link practice a couple of years ago when Jordan Davis pushed Cam Jurgens all the way back.
Yes,
that happened sort of again, but it's actually not that bad of a rep from Cam Jurgens because he's losing slowly. What was that? It sounded like a dragon is attacking the building.
It was a car.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like a ferocious roar.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like a drag racing type car. I was doing my training camp in 60 seconds over the weekend, which, by the way, you can check that out every day on our social channels, on our Instagram, on our Twitter, wherever, on YouTube. And it's a fun thing we do. Credit to Julia, credit to Chris. But it kind of recaps what's going on in 60 seconds. And it's been... the response has been so good, I think we can bring it into the season. But anyways, I was doing that at NovaCare, and I was in the middle of a really good take, and I felt good about this. And then one of those things came roaring in the background, and I'm like, shoot, got to redo it.
Kind of a good picture of the scene if you kept it. I think it'd be kind of fun.
I'm very particular about making sure the background sound is good. The background looks good. I was doing a take the other day when I was rolling through, and then there was a gust of wind, and it blew the flag out I do it in a spot on the walkway where you see the Jordan Mailata flag and you see the Jordan Davis flag and you see the Devontae Smith flag, and it was a really good visual. And then this gust of wind blew it, and I'm like, God, there goes my visual in the background.
But that's fun. That's real life.
Then what happened? But then I actually saw it when I sent it in to Chris, and it was more zoomed in, so you couldn't see the flag. So I was like, I probably overthought that one.
First time for everything.
Overthinking something? Yeah. I've heard that one before, yes.
Okay, make sure that you are becoming a diehard. You can read all of our camp reports there and other good stuff. Les Bowen staying hot. telling you what's going on, his thoughts from the outside, and all that good stuff. So make sure that you are a diehard and you're liking and subscribing the videos and all that stuff. Brandon Graham taking some pass rush reps from the inside, which is good to see. I think that probably a little tool in the toolbox for Vic Fangio this season. Made quick work of Max Sharping at guard.
Number 50.
That's correct. Yeah. Yep. Gabe Hall, slow to flash so far. Trevor Keegan held him off. And then again, unfortunately, Darian Kennard seems like a nice guy. I think maybe guard is better for him. But at left tackle, that was one of the tougher sessions that I've ever seen.
Against whom?
Terrell Lewis twice.
Oh, that's right. You said that.
Patrick Johnson once.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know those ones where it's like very quickly the person just like swats his hands away and then gets right past him? It was like 3 of those very quick sacks.
Well, look, Andy Reid and Brett Veach drafted this guy at the 5th round and then decided quickly that they didn't want him there anymore. Well, he was on the practice squad, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. Anything from talking to players? Were you in on Britton Covey?
Only for the end of Britton Covey. I talked to Quinny Mitchell, talked to Milton Williams, talked to Jalen Hunt.
How was Milt?
Milton Williams said that at some point in the offseason, he knows that his agents did talk to the Eagles about something, but he doesn't get involved in that. But he is very aware that this is a contract year for him, so he wants to put his best foot forward. I asked him about the increased snaps, if he did anything different this offseason to prepare. I said he took up some boxing for extra conditioning. That's good. Let's see some other takeaways.
I'm always mystified by, and we talked about this a bit yesterday with Josh Sweat. I'm always mystified by the players who like aren't involved at all with the contract. Like I would want to know every minute what's going on. You know, if this is your future. Hence I'm not a professional athlete.
My other takeaways from today's practice. Let's see. Quinion Mitchell started today in the slot with the first team. He worked in at multiple spots from there. Jalen Carter has a few wow plays each practice, but the whole interior line was dominant for stretches today.
He's reading EJ
The interior offensive line was banged up, to be fair.
Yes.
Landon Dickerson left with an apparent injury, suffered during one-on-ones, and was replaced by Trevor Keegan.
I'm sorry to the audience
Makai
now.
Becton spent the whole day at right guard in place of Tyler Steen. Nolan Smith had another strong day today, got into the backfield for a few plays during team, and had a couple nice reps in one-on-ones against undrafted rookie Aneem Dankwa. And perhaps it was the nature of the pads coming on, but this was the most competitive practice of camp so far. Some jawing back and forth after plays, notably between Zach Bond and Fred Johnson. Wouldn't say either side of the ball dominated #Eagles.
Okay. I was going to say I'm sorry to EJ, but I'm actually sorry to the audience because this is never going away, I feel like.
That is probably true.
Yeah. I spoke to John Ross after practice. Always enjoy talking to John Ross. This guy,
you were in there forever.
Yes, I was. Well, first I went up.
Man was with his family.
Well, I went up to him before his interview and I said, "How's your son?" Okay. And then some people were asking this, like this is the first time they had heard about the son thing, and I'm like, "Johnny, come lately. Where were you back then?" Right? No, I'm joking. But it was John Ross thought it was important for him to spend time with Jalen Hurts this summer because he only got 2 weeks he only got 2 weeks in the spring. So he met up with Jalen a bit, came away thinking Jalen was the real deal. Has a background with Saquon Barkley when they were with the Giants. Is just amazed by A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Said like you can't learn anything from A.J. Brown. He's like Terrell Owens. He's just too rare. And then he was just talking about how smooth Devontae Smith is. He said he could talk about those guys for hours. Like he loves being those guys' teammates. His son is playing football back home, but during the summer. His son's got friends. He like calls them. It's like a 3-minute conversation because the son wants to get back to the friends. Right?
That's sad.
No, it's like you like how your son's
it's a little bittersweet though.
Yeah. My son was at my cousin's house yesterday, because I didn't get back from work until after the bus came home, and I thought he'd be so excited to see me. He was playing basketball. He was pumped. Yeah.
Yeah, that's bittersweet.
Yeah, it's a fun age, right? And
when they stop paying attention to you, what is that?
No, when they start to get that sense of independence, right?
Sure.
Like it's not about us as the parents. It's about you want your kids to be empowered enough to feel that sense of independence, so they're not I mean, it's always nice when they cling to you, right? But you want them like to get excited about,
Sure.
Reed's going to the practice on Thursday night with some friends. Like,
Nice.
I think that's awesome, right?
That's great.
So and John Ross, just similar to what he said in the spring, the perspective he has about being here, I brought up because he had a really nice rep across the middle today, and like so much there's so much talk about the deep speed. Like, is this something that is overlooked by him or overlooked about him? And he said it's not overlooked. He just he doesn't stay healthy, so no one can see it. He's like, I need to show you it because I need to be on the field. I asked him if anyone's challenged him to a race yet. He said he heard Isaiah Rodgers talk about it with the media, and he told Isaiah Rodgers, "Let's do 50,000 for charity," and they haven't done it.
Wow.
Yeah. So John Ross is pretty confident that he's going to win that race.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he probably would win the race, but
John Ross,
against Isaiah Rodgers, yeah.
No, I mean it was 2017 draft when he ran the 4.23, or 4.22, but yeah, he's fast. He's still fast.
He's still fast, although I do think it's fair to say that none of the down the depth chart wide receivers have really flashed yet.
No, Parrish Campbell I think is playing the best out of all of them. But it does stand out to me how many reps John Ross is getting with the ones, because he's more than a camp body at this point.
I would like to see Johnny Wilson with the ones a little bit more, just because for lack of anybody proven, he's the one who I'd like to see if there is some chemistry with Jalen Hurts there.
That's fair. I was listening back to yesterday's show. I don't mean to be critical of you, okay? I think one of the worst takes you've had in my time with you is like...
So a high bar.
Fawning over Nick Sirianni for knowing the names of the wide receivers. This
I
is
wasn't
like
fawning.
This is like when the media is so impressed that Sean McVay can remember a play in a game.
No.
Like he called the play. These are Nick Sirianni's
totally
at
different.
practice.
He's up on the podium
receivers.
in the middle of an answer. He wasn't tracking everybody. He wasn't going through initially in order to name everybody on the team. But he found himself in that position and was able to just, I'm not saying give him a raise, but we've seen lots of head coaches, including Nick Sirianni, fumble over answers and not know the name of his third-round pick from last year. I thought it was kind of nice that he could name every single wide receiver on the roster.
Yeah,
I have had way worse takes than that.
Like Ali Fayed. Yeah, I was listening back in the car, and I was like, that's still not that impressive. He should be able to do that. He's the head coach of the football team. He should know who his receivers are.
He should, but, I mean, he might not.
I mean, first off, he's a former receiver. He's a former receivers coach.
Well, I actually think that's the thing, is that this is the group that he is the most aware of. Exactly. I don't know that in the exact same way if he could have named every single corner or edge rusher or offensive lineman, just off the top of his head.
You once gave me a hard time before for noting how Jonathan Gannon knows everyone's name, like in the building, and you know how he even got headshots and studied the headshots. It all
comes back to Gannon for you, huh?
No, but I thought this was like an impressive thing. You're like, this isn't impressive. He should know people's names. He should know the names of his wide. Like, I'm more impressed. I'm more impressed if you know like the assistant manager and marketing's name than if you know your 11th wide receiver's name.
I don't believe that Jonathan Gannon knew every single person's name in the entire building. But there's also a difference between Nick knowing when he's going through tape who all the receivers on the roster are, and just in the middle of an answer on the podium knowing it. Okay.
Just I was thinking about that, and I thought I would bring it up on today's show when we're an hour and 8 minutes in.
Okay. I'm sorry that was so in your craw.
No, it's I'm trying to be more real here, not just compliment you all the time, because there's a lot to compliment you about.
Okay, that's good.
So if you just started watching the show three months ago, I do say things other than compliments every now and then.
Yeah, dig back further, you'll find way worse takes. No doubt about that. All right, that'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. Day 1 of pads in the book. Back tomorrow at 2. 2 on Thursday, 2 on Friday. Just rolling with it. Practice Thursday night at the link. and then they're back on the practice field on Sunday. So we'll talk about that on Monday. They got a nice little stretch of 4 practices in a row at the end of next week, end of this week, beginning of next week. So, by the way, this is the guy, the 3 months guy. He says, took me a little while to figure out the dynamics of you two. You are hilarious and great Eagles info. And he really got hooked by ZB, by HZ.
No, that's not a real thing.
HZ is what got the claws in.
That is not a
Zach,
real
you want to
thing.
grow the show. This is
No.
proof that HZ is reaching the mass audience that you are so desperate to seek.
I mean, respectfully, I'm a hardworking reporter, or I shouldn't say hard. I've spent 15 years in this business. I've tried to build a good reputation in terms of
You
my
have a
work,
wonderful reputation.
in terms of the way I treat people.
Sure.
I certainly don't want a reputation to be. What was the HZ from again? It was from a reference to what? It was.
I think it was when you talking about
Oh,
before
we were talking
going to
about
college,
Facebook.
you
Yeah,
wanted to see
yeah.
what all the girls looked like so that you could have a good sense of it before going in.
For me, embracing technology.
Horny doesn't have to be bad.
And for me,
Everyone's allowed to be horny.
embracing no. It's embracing technology.
It's just
It's embracing technology.
Don't foist your horniness upon people who don't want it. You can
Don't
be
ever
horny.
say that. No, I was. Let's not even go there. I was simply. It's just
That's
trying.
part of life.
It's just trying to see people. Trying to know who people are. It's a good way to remember names. I remember names often by. I would do what Jonathan Gannon did. I would look at the headshots and remember the names.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you want more viewers, more listeners,
Then when you talk about Jalen Carter at the top of the show, that's how you get it.
thank you, Cousin Grace. Stop horny shaming. Everyone's allowed to be horny.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. That'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. Back tomorrow at 2 for Julia and Zach, Jalen Carter, and the entire Booker family. I'm Bo. We will talk to you tomorrow. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.